I'll be going to my local Chipotle, getting my normal order, then we'll be driving all the way into Washington, DC and getting the same order to compare the prices. Okay, so we're heading to a Chipotle a few miles away from my house outside of Washington, DC in Northern Virginia. All right, so I just got my chicken bowl from Chipotle and this is in Virginia. So the chicken bowl was $7.85, that was pre-tax, but then the tax was 47 cents. So the total, and this is in Virginia, for a chicken bowl at Chipotle came out to be $8.32. Okay, so we've got the price of the chicken bowl from Chipotle near my home in Virginia. Just to let you all know, I decided to do this video to show the cost of living and how it can change from area to area, and to hopefully prove that even fast food prices are a decent indicator of cost of living. Now you might be thinking, there's a lot more to the cost of living than just fast food prices. And yes, you're 100% right. So to make my not so scientific experiment a little bit more scientific, I'm going to be going out and seeing houses and gas prices in both Virginia and DC. Just for reference, before we keep going, everything we're about to see in Virginia, including the Chipotle that I went to, is about 25 miles outside of Washington, DC. Okay, let's go see some $1 million houses. Okay, so this house we're about to pull in front of just sold in 2020 for $1.15 million. So you can see here just the outside of the house, and I'll put some interior pictures up as well. But it's just a normal, pretty big house, and we'll compare that to the house in Georgetown that is also on the market for $1.15 million. Alright, so now we're pulling up to a house in Washington, DC. This is in the Georgetown neighborhood. This is another $1.15 million house. This house is 1,300 square feet and it's pretty updated inside. I'll show you some interior pictures now. So after we saw the house, we went over just a few blocks to the main street, M Street in Georgetown, and went into the Chipotle for me to get the same exact chicken bowl that I bought in Virginia. After eating some pizza in Georgetown, we headed back to our house in Virginia to compare the prices of the Chipotle bowls. Okay, so we just got back from getting Chipotle in Virginia and Georgetown DC. So we have the two receipts right here, and Haley has only seen the receipt from Virginia. So we'll go over it one more time. This is the Chipotle bowl in Virginia. The subtotal was $7.85, and with tax of 47 cents, it came out to be $8.32. So it was $8.32 for the chicken bowl from Chipotle in Virginia, and we went to DC, got the same exact order. Okay, so my first question is, which bowl do you think was more expensive, the DC bowl or the Virginia bowl?
DC.
DC, so the DC one was correct, but now we're gonna go into the harder question. How much more was the DC bowl than the Virginia bowl? I'm gonna give you kind of an over-under. So do you think it was over $1 or under $1 more?
Under.
Under, okay.
Barely under.
Barely under, so you are correct. The difference was 87 cents. So I'll pull out the receipt for the DC bowl right now, and the total for the DC bowl was $9.19. So the subtotal was $8.35, but really what did it here was the tax. The tax in DC is a lot more than in Virginia, and the tax alone for Chipotle was 84 cents for the chicken bowl. So now we know the price of Chipotle in DC versus Northern Virginia, but how do those prices really compare to the cost of living in each area? Let's do a quick comparison between Chipotle, housing prices, and gas prices to really see the entire picture. Up on the screen right now, I put the prices for Chipotle from DC and Virginia, along with some housing prices from DC and Virginia. Now the DC price, the $1.15 million, is the townhouse I showed you earlier in this video, but the Northern Virginia house that's up on your screen, the $430,000 house, that's actually a house near my home. It's very comparable to the Washington DC Georgetown townhouse. It's also 1,300 square feet. It's basically updated the same as the Georgetown house. Now let's add one more statistic in here, and that's gas prices. Gas prices around me in Northern Virginia were about $2.80 a gallon at the time of filming. Now compare that to prices in Georgetown DC at the same time. The prices there were around $3.70 a gallon. Okay, so when we do the calculations, we're actually going to see the percent change from Northern Virginia to DC. So first, Chipotle. The Chipotle price from Virginia to DC only increased about 10 to 11%. Gas prices, on the other hand, were 32% more expensive in DC. And housing prices were by far the most expensive jump at 167% from Virginia to DC. Now again, we were looking at Georgetown DC, so it is a lot more expensive than other areas in DC. So was Chipotle a good indicator of cost of living? I would say yes and no. Yes, because it was a bit more expensive in DC as expected, but definitely not to the levels that gas prices and housing prices were. I hope you all enjoyed this video. Be sure to give it a like, subscribe if you aren't already, and I'll see you next Thursday.